every opportunity. Don't pass up on that opportunity, but at the same time, prepare yourself for it. Just like success comes when opportunity meets preparation. So grab the opportunity, but at the same time, better yourself every time.
Happy International Women's Day! Happy International Women's Day! Happy International Women's Day!
To celebrate International Women's Day, we invite prominent women figures from various industries to share their knowledge, experience, and wisdom about being a female professional.
No matter our culture, background, the countries we're from, our upbringing, we're all operating in a social environment where this unconscious bias exists. The bias that those in position of power, those who are successful, must be men.
Women's empowerment is a core element of feminist foreign policy, our feminist international assistance policy, which will be further elaborated through the Indo-Pacific strategy. So this is an important moment in time to make sure that we are, as individuals, as communities, as families, and organizations, as countries, that we're moving these conversations forward.
If you want to challenge the power, then you have to be in power. I think that's the best advice that I received, so that's why I try very hard to have more power.
Pelajaran yang saya dapatkan dari mentor-mentor dengan kisah-kisah yang luar biasa, dari bagaimana untuk membagi waktu untuk pekerjaan, diri sendiri, bahkan untuk keluarga.
Intimate roundtable session to discuss the challenge women face in their career and how to navigate it with their personal life.
Just go for every opportunity. Don't pass up on that opportunity, but at the same time, prepare yourself for it. Just like success comes when opportunity meets preparation. So grab the opportunity, but at the same time, better yourself every time.
Happy International Women's Day! Happy International Women's Day! Happy International Women's Day!
To celebrate International Women's Day, we invite prominent women figures from various industries to share their knowledge, experience, and wisdom about being a female professional.
No matter our culture, background, the countries we're from, our upbringing. We're all operating in a social environment where this unconscious bias exists. The bias that those in position of power, those who are successful, must be men.
Women's empowerment is a core element of feminist foreign policy, our feminist international assistance policy, which will be further elaborated through the Indo-Pacific strategy. So this is an important moment in time to make sure that we are, as individuals, as communities, as families, and organizations, as countries, that we're moving these conversations forward.
If you want to challenge the power, then you have to be in power. I think that's the best advice that I receive, so that's why I try very hard to have more power.
Pelajaran yang saya dapatkan dari mentor-mentor dengan kisah-kisah yang luar biasa, dari bagaimana untuk membagi waktu untuk pekerjaan, diri sendiri, bahkan untuk keluarga.
Intimate roundtable session to discuss the challenge women face in their career and how to navigate it with their personal life.
Go for every opportunity. Don't pass up on that opportunity, but at the same time, prepare yourself for it. You know, just like success comes when opportunity meets preparation. So grab the opportunity, but at the same time, better yourself every time.
Happy International Women's Day! Happy International Women's Day! Happy International Women's Day!
To celebrate International Women's Day, we invite prominent women figures from various industries to share their knowledge, experience, and wisdom about being a female professional.
No matter our culture, background, the countries we're from, our upbringing, we're all operating in a social environment where this unconscious bias exists. The bias that those in position of power, those who are successful, must be men.
Women's empowerment is a core element of feminist foreign policy, our feminist international assistance policy, which will be further elaborated through the Indo-Pacific strategy. So this is an important moment in time to make sure that we are, as individuals, as communities, as families, and organizations, as countries, that we're moving these conversations forward.
If you want to challenge the power, then you have to be in power. I think that's the best advice that I receive, so that's why I try very hard to have more power.
Pelajaran yang saya dapatkan dari mentor-mentor dengan kisah-kisah yang luar biasa, dari bagaimana untuk membagi waktu untuk pekerjaan, diri sendiri, bahkan untuk keluarga.
Intimate roundtable session to discuss the challenge women face in their career and how to navigate it with their personal life.
up on that opportunity, but at the same time, prepare yourself for it. Just like success comes when opportunity meets preparation. So grab the opportunity, but at the same time, better yourself every time.
Happy International Women's Day! Happy International Women's Day! Happy International Women's Day!
To celebrate International Women's Day, we invite prominent women figures from various industries to share their knowledge, experience, and wisdom about being a female professional.
No matter our culture, background, the countries we're from, our upbringing, we're all operating in a social environment where this unconscious bias exists. The bias that those in position of power, those who are successful, must be men.
Women's empowerment is a core element of feminist foreign policy, our feminist international assistance policy, which will be further elaborated through the Indo-Pacific strategy. So this is an important moment in time to make sure that we are, as individuals, as communities, as families, and organizations, as countries, that we're moving these conversations forward.
If you want to challenge the power, then you have to be in power. I think that's the best advice that I received, so that's why I try very hard to have more power.
Pelajaran yang saya dapatkan dari mentor-mentor dengan kisah-kisah yang luar biasa, dari bagaimana untuk membagi waktu untuk pekerjaan, diri sendiri, bahkan untuk keluarga.
Intimate roundtable session to discuss the challenge women face in their career and how to navigate it with their personal life.
Just go for every opportunity. Don't pass up on that opportunity, but at the same time, prepare yourself for it. Just like success comes when opportunity meets preparation. So grab the opportunity, but at the same time, better yourself every time.
Happy International Women's Day! Happy International Women's Day! Happy International Women's Day!
To celebrate International Women's Day, we invite prominent women figures from various industries to share their knowledge, experience, and wisdom about being a female professional.
No matter our culture, background, the countries we're from, our upbringing. We're all operating in a social environment where this unconscious bias exists. The bias that those in position of power, those who are successful, must be men.
Women's empowerment is a core element of feminist foreign policy, our feminist international assistance policy, which will be further elaborated through the Indo-Pacific strategy. So this is an important moment in time to make sure that we are, as individuals, as communities, as families, and organizations, as countries, that we're moving these conversations forward.
If you want to challenge the power, then you have to be in power. I think that's the best advice that I received, so that's why I try very hard to have more power.
Pelajaran yang saya dapatkan dari mentor-mentor dengan kisah-kisah yang luar biasa, dari bagaimana untuk membagi waktu untuk pekerjaan, diri sendiri, bahkan untuk keluarga.
Intimate roundtable session to discuss the challenge women face in their career and how to navigate it with their personal life.
Go for every opportunity. Don't pass up on that opportunity, but at the same time, prepare yourself for it. You know, just like success comes when opportunity meets preparation. So grab the opportunity, but at the same time, better yourself every time.
Happy International Women's Day! Happy International Women's Day! Happy International Women's Day!
To celebrate International Women's Day, we invite prominent women figures from various industries to share their knowledge, experience, and wisdom about being a female professional.
No matter our culture, background, the countries we're from, our upbringing, we're all operating in a social environment where this unconscious bias exists. The bias that those in position of power, those who are successful, must be men.
Women's empowerment is a core element of feminist foreign policy, our feminist international assistance policy, which will be further elaborated through the Indo-Pacific strategy. So this is an important moment in time to make sure that we are, as individuals, as communities, as families, and organizations, as countries, that we're moving these conversations forward.
If you want to challenge the power, then you have to be in power. I think that's the best advice that I received, so that's why I try very hard to have more power.
Pelajaran yang saya dapatkan dari mentor-mentor dengan kisah-kisah yang luar biasa, dari bagaimana untuk membagi waktu untuk pekerjaan, diri sendiri, bahkan untuk keluarga.
Intimate roundtable session to discuss the challenge women face in their career and how to navigate it with their personal life.
yourself for it. Just like success comes when opportunity meets preparation. So grab the opportunity, but at the same time, better yourself every time.
Happy International Women's Day! Happy International Women's Day! Happy International Women's Day!
To celebrate International Women's Day, we invite prominent women figures from various industries to share their knowledge, experience, and wisdom about being a female professional.
No matter our culture, background, the countries we're from, our upbringing, we're all operating in a social environment where this unconscious bias exists. The bias that those in position of power, those who are successful, must be men.
Women's empowerment is a core element of feminist foreign policy, our feminist international assistance policy, which will be further elaborated through the Indo-Pacific strategy. So this is an important moment in time to make sure that we are, as individuals, as communities, as families, and organizations, as countries, that we're moving these conversations forward.
If you want to challenge the power, then you have to be in power. I think that's the best advice that I received, so that's why I try very hard to have more power.
Pelajaran yang saya dapatkan dari mentor-mentor dengan kisah-kisah yang luar biasa, dari bagaimana untuk membagi waktu untuk pekerjaan, diri sendiri, bahkan untuk keluarga.
Intimate roundtable session to discuss the challenge women face in their career and how to navigate it with their personal life.
Just go for every opportunity. Don't pass up on that opportunity, but at the same time, prepare yourself for it. Just like success comes when opportunity meets preparation. So grab the opportunity, but at the same time, better yourself every time.
Happy International Women's Day! Happy International Women's Day! Happy International Women's Day!
To celebrate International Women's Day, we invite prominent women figures from various industries to share their knowledge, experience, and wisdom about being a female professional.
No matter our culture, background, the countries we're from, our upbringing, we're all operating in a social environment where this unconscious bias exists. The bias that those in position of power, those who are successful, must be men.
Women's empowerment is a core element of feminist foreign policy, our feminist international assistance policy, which will be further elaborated through the Indo-Pacific strategy. So this is an important moment in time to make sure that we are, as individuals, as communities, as families, and organizations, as countries, that we're moving these conversations forward.
If you want to challenge the power, then you have to be in power. I think that's the best advice that I received, so that's why I try very hard to have more power.
Pelajaran yang saya dapatkan dari mentor-mentor dengan kisah-kisah yang luar biasa, dari bagaimana untuk membagi waktu untuk pekerjaan, diri sendiri, bahkan untuk keluarga.
Intimate roundtable session to discuss the challenge women face in their career and how to navigate it with their personal life.
Just go for every opportunity. Don't pass up on that opportunity, but at the same time, prepare yourself for it. You know, just like success comes when opportunity meets preparation. So grab the opportunity, but at the same time, better yourself every time.
Happy International Women's Day! Happy International Women's Day! Happy International Women's Day!
To celebrate International Women's Day, we invite prominent women figures from various industries to share their knowledge, experience, and wisdom about being a female professional.
No matter our culture, background, the countries we're from, our upbringing, we're all operating in a social environment where this unconscious bias exists. The bias that those in position of power, those who are successful, must be men.
Women's empowerment is a core element of feminist foreign policy, our feminist international assistance policy, which will be further elaborated through the Indo-Pacific strategy. So this is an important moment in time to make sure that we are, as individuals, as communities, as families, and organizations, as countries, that we're moving these conversations forward.
If you want to challenge the power, then you have to be in power. I think that's the best advice that I received, so that's why I try very hard to have more power.
Tamunya dulu, kalau tamunya sudah dapat tempat semua boleh.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our public forum. Today's forum is brought to you by Foreign Policy Community of Indonesia and the Canada Mission to ASEAN with the support of Malaysian Mission to ASEAN. Welcome. Ladies and gentlemen, FPCI is the largest foreign policy group in Indonesia, in Southeast Asia, and in Indo-Pacific. We have 100,000 people in our network across Indonesia and throughout the world, and we're happy that you're joining us here today in our forum. First of all, let us give a warm welcome to our distinguished guests who are joining us today. We have the Ambassador of Canada for Women, Peace and Security, Ambassador Jacqueline O'Neill. Welcome, Ambassador, to Jakarta and to FPCI. Ambassador of Canada to ASEAN, Her Excellency Victoria Singmin, our friend. Permanent Representative of Malaysia to ASEAN, Her Excellency Nur Izzah Michu. Ambassador Michu, welcome. Permanent Representative of Brunei Darussalam to ASEAN, Her Excellency Latifah Zaini. Welcome, Ambassador. And our distinguished speakers, the representative from ACWC Chair Indonesia, Ibu Sridanti Anwar. Welcome. Last but not least, the Executive Director of SURF Indonesia, Ibu Dete Alia. Welcome, Ibu. Let me also welcome the diplomatic corps that are attending today. We have colleagues from Singapore Embassy, Australia, UK, representatives from UN Women, ASEAN Secretariat, and others. Welcome. And also students from various universities. We have from President University, Universitas Pelita Harapan, Binus University, Universitas Kristen Indonesia, and many other entities. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. All right. To open our event today, let us first display a brief video about FPCI and the WPS Dialogue Series. Please enjoy.
So the WPS agenda is a shared priority for both Canada and ASEAN, and we look forward to advancing this key issue with ASEAN as we're doing today and in the future.
What makes the ASEAN RPA more practical and in that sense unique is that it has a fifth pillar, so to speak, and that looks at partnership. That the way to make sure we can implement this regional plan of action is if we have partnership between and among the ASEAN member states, together with other stakeholders. And here, civil society comes to mind.
By virtue of the RPA being a regional plan of action, it's more sensitive or more reflective of our context here in the region. And this is evidenced by how the appreciation of the WPS agenda has been expanded in this RPA, dealing with humanitarian setting and outside of the conflict setting, which is, I think, is a hallmark of what ASEAN is trying to do in expanding this conversation on the WPS agenda.
The beauty of the regional plan of action, therefore, is that it is, one of the other features it really contextualizes women, peace, and security in ASEAN in the sense of the non-traditional security dimensions. So we're looking at displacement of people, we're looking at disasters, we're looking at cybercrime and cybersecurity issues.
It's time for state members to think about the institutionalization of National Action Plan, because it gives you better integrated planning at the national level, clear baseline, also clear to monitor, and also for the accountability.
ASEAN women mediators, they have an honest, they are an honest broker and relate to peace. It came from their own experience. It came from their own intention to have peace. So that's, I think, a good comparative advantage for ASEAN.
Amazing. Please give a round of applause. Okay, now we would like to invite our senior fellow of PCI and also a board member, Ambassador Sumadi Broto Tiningrat, to deliver a welcoming remark to us all. Please, Ambassador Sumadi, you may have the floor.
Thank you for the souvenir. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Selamat pagi, salam sejahtera, and a very good morning to all of you. I would like to, first of all, extend a warm welcome to our dignitary guests. I will not mention one by one. Jenny has already mentioned it one by one for me. So in the interest of time, because there will be hopefully a much more important discussion instead of listening to me. Let me just warmly again want to welcome all of the dignitaries and a special greeting to our participants, both offline and also online, which count for 100 of participants that we have now. You have been introduced through our video presentations about the foreign policy community of Indonesia. So you have already some glimpses knowing who we are and what we are doing. And I hope this introduction will not stop there and will continue later on with more cooperations in the months or years to come. We are now, we will discuss a very important issues. Indeed, the issue of gender mainstreaming in general and the women, peace and security in particular, in the last several years is already gaining ground and make it themselves and find themselves in the place in a very important place in the international agenda. I think this is a deserving achievement because if we come about women, peace and security, for a long time, women has been a most suffering victim in any conflict. And yet, the voice of their cries is the least heard by the ears of our leaders. And so, for a long time, this became an anomaly. And I think we have to be very glad that in the turn of the century, we begin to address the issue of women, peace and security in a more serious manner. By the adoption of the Security Council 1325, and hopefully sooner than later that this will achieve much more result than we managed to achieve. We in Indonesia, we too have a very strong feeling on that. And we are now already in the middle of our second national action plan. And we will do it seriously and getting more serious with our in fulfilling our commitment on that. The strong position that we have on this, we got a further important boost by our female foreign minister, who is personally very committed to the issue of women in general, and of course, women, peace and security in particular. I think her active role when we were non-permanent member of Security Council is well documented. You can see how our female foreign minister has played a role in the Security Council on that. But then it will be too presumptuous for us to claim that we already achieved our, or that we have already satisfied with our achievement. We're still lagging way behind, and we feel still need not only to make our own effort, but also to cooperate internationally, be it multilaterally or bilaterally. And we know, all of us know, how strong Canada is when it comes to the issue of women, peace, and security. And we hope to be able to strengthen our operations with Canada, be it between Canada and ASEAN, and also Canada and Indonesia bilateral. But it's not enough. Up to now, many perceive not the question of women, but the question of peace and security are more the purview of government only. And this is wrong. And this is wrong because this is issue of common people also. That's why there is a need for us to expand the cooperations beyond intergovernmental cooperation, as we have already seen in the Canadian video earlier. I would like to humbly suggest to add the video with cooperations, people-to-people cooperation on peace and security, especially when it pertains about women. Because the role of women in any peace negotiations is very important to give the perspective of a victim and increasing the women negotiator in the peace in peace building is also important to give the dimension of, especially at the stage of post-conflict rehabilitation. It's where women can play more role than men there. So our hope that the government officials here agree with me that we will expand our cooperations to reach people-to-people cooperation. And when it comes to this point, our institution, the FVCI, stands ready and more than willing to play its role on whatever we can in further strengthen the intergovernmental cooperation and effort in pursuing further and achieving the result as much as I can when on the question of women, peace, and security. And so, and I would like to end my brief remark by sharing best practices, taking an example with my very small entity, which is my family. We call it family management, but in a demographic jargon, it's the family governance. So when I was about to marry my wife, we agreed solemnly to have a compact consisting only 3 articles on our family government, especially on the decision making. Article number 1, if it pertains to petty things of daily life, the wife decides. When it pertains to big things of principles, husband decides. This is article number 2. Article number 3, as regard or with regard to the categorization, which one is petty thing, which one is daily life, and which one are big issues, big problems, problem of principle, wife decides. So with this, I would like to end my, and no longer to take your time, I would like to give back the microphone to or directly to Esther? Not yet. All right, okay. I will come back to the microphone to the Master of Ceremony.
Thank you, Ambassador Sumadi. Great example. All right, next we would like to invite the Ambassador of Canada to ASEAN, Ambassador Victoria Singmin, to deliver also an opening remark.
Thanks very much. I'm not sure I have quite the same humorous anecdote to share with everyone this morning, but thanks for Ambassador Soni for kicking us off really well this morning, and a huge thanks to FPCI. It's really wonderful to be here and to be joined by so many amazing colleagues, and for all of you who are here in the room and those who are online as well. This is a really important discussion to be having today. And really big thanks to our ambassador, our WPS ambassador, Jackie, and her team for coming all the way from Canada. We really do appreciate it, and look forward to the important exchange of views today. You know, as you know, all of you know, we're here because we want to talk about and I think shed more light on this critical role of women and particularly youth in building and sustaining peaceful communities, countries, regions, and of course, including the ASEAN region. We know that women and youth make up a significant portion of the population in ASEAN countries, and their perspectives, their needs, and their capacities all have to be taken into account if peace and security initiatives and solutions are to be sustainable. Canada recognizes that youth participation is an integral part of building sustainable peace and is a longtime supporter of the Youth, Peace and Security Agenda since the United Nations Security Council Resolution 2250. And then reflecting where we are in Indonesia, President Jokowi recently emphasized that Indonesia is facing a demographic bonus. So this means that the majority of the population here in the productive age between 15 and 64 years. So to break this down, and I did have my staff do this because you can perhaps tell what age I am. The majority of the population belong to Gen Z. So that means you're born between 1997 and 2012. And then to millennials as well, born between 81 and 90. Do not belong to this group, unfortunately. And of course, you know, another key consideration when we're looking at you know, the demographic, there's also the rapid advancement of digital and information technology, use of social media, and of course, a lot of us are very much aware of the rise in artificial intelligence as well. So these advancements really position youth as digital natives with a key role in shaping our society right now and into the future. And this includes in the area of peace and security as well. The Women, Peace and Security Agenda recognizes that youth need to be involved in decision making. And in the ASEAN region, we know we have the regional plan of action on women, peace and security. I was delighted to be in Cambodia and in Phnom Penh at the end of last year when it was launched. A fantastic milestone representing really that motivation of ASEAN to come together under Cambodia's leadership, and now we have Indonesia taking this forward as well as ASEAN 2023 chair. And the ASEAN Regional Plan of Action also recognizes this, and it provides a framework for ASEAN member states to implement policies and programs that promote youth and girls' participation and protection in conflict and post-conflict situations. Canada is so excited to be a part of this journey. This is something that is very meaningful for us globally and here in Jakarta as we engage with the ASEAN region. We have our initiative with UN Women on empowering women for sustainable peace. We have our feminist international assistance policy, our feminist foreign policy, our Indo-Pacific strategy, and this gives us the opportunity to partner with important organizations, important ASEAN institutions like the ASEAN Institute for Peace and Reconciliation, with FPCI here today, and of course taking the opportunity to have this series of WPS dialogues to have more conversations and ensure that WPS is an issue that is relatable for everyone. I think I'll stop talking. I was gonna keep this brief, and I seem to have gone on a little bit. But just to say a huge welcome, and I'm delighted to be doing this today here, of course, with my wonderful colleague who I see all the time, Ambassador Michu from the Permanent Mission of Malaysia to ASEAN, and I think this will be a great discussion. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Ambassador Victoria Singmin. Before we move on to the next opening remark, we would like to acknowledge the attendance of the Permanent Representative of Philippines to ASEAN, Her Excellency Jaiseline Mansnido Quintana. I hope I pronounced your name correctly. Welcome, Ambassador Quintana. Next, we'd like to invite the Permanent Representative of Malaysia to ASEAN, Ambassador Michu. Please, you may have the floor.
Thank you. And first of all, Madam Co-host, Her Excellency Vicky Singmin, Ambassador of Canada to ASEAN. Her Excellency Jacqueline O'Neill, Ambassador of Women, Peace and Security of Canada and your team. And my dear colleagues, Ambassador Latifa and Ambassador Joy from the CPR Group. Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. A very good morning and a warm welcome to the second dialogue on women, peace and security. It is an honor for Malaysia to collaborate with the mission of Canada to ASEAN and the foreign policy community in Indonesia, FPCI, in hosting this dialogue. I thank Ambassador Sumadi and his able team from FPCI for this excellent arrangement for this morning dialogue. The theme of our dialogue today, enhancing the leadership of youth and women in the context of peace intervention, resonates well with Malaysia's continued support for the inclusion and participation of youth and women in the security agenda. This is why we are delighted to co-host the dialogue as we look forward to hearing insights from our distinguished speakers. In particular, I would like to join my co-host in welcoming Her Excellency O'Neill to Jakarta. I understand this is your first visit and she spent her very precious first visit with us and sharing her thoughts on this issue. It is increasingly evident that building and sustaining peace require ongoing partnership with various actors, including youth and women. Therefore, their roles in peace and security should be further socialized, strengthened, and mainstreamed. Malaysia, in this respect, is committed to building capacity and advancing the Youth, Peace and Security, or YPS, and Women, Peace and Security, or the WPS agenda at the national, regional, and international levels. Since 1960, Malaysia has participated in over 38 peacekeeping operations, deploying approximately 40,000 peacekeepers. This is our testament to shouldering the shared responsibility of maintaining global peace and security. We are proud to contribute the highest number of women peacekeepers in the United Nations Interim Force in Lebanon, or the UNIFIL, consisting of 85 personnel. We are also host to various training and courses through the Malaysian Peacekeeping Center, which continues to be recognized as a premier peacekeeping training center in the region. At the regional level, Malaysia views the launch of the first ever ASEAN Regional Plan of Action on WPS in December 2022 as a step in the right directions to strengthen women's participation in fostering regional peace and security. It is my fervent hope that today's dialogue will provide us with more insights on strengthening the leadership of youth and women in peace and security. And I look forward to continuing our discussion on WPS in the coming WPS series. As we will celebrate the International Day on UN Peacekeeper in a few days on 29 May, I would like to end my remarks by quoting the theme of the commemorative day, which is Peace Begins With Me. Simply put, each of us has a role towards achieving global peace and security. With that, I thank you.
Thank you, Ambassador Michu, for the remark. Before we get into the discussion, we would like to invite the guest, Ambassador, and also the panelists to take a picture first in the front. Yes, Ambassador Sumadi, also to take a picture together. Esther, Stuart and India, you should join too. Yes. Also, after this, Ambassador Sumadi would like to say a few words a bit just about something. India? Nina? Ambassador of Philippines to ASEAN, Ambassador Brunei Darussalam as well. Ambassador Quintana, Ambassador Latifa, yes.
Thank you for accompanying me as a male.
3, 2. Got the pictures? Thank you. For Ambassador O'Neill, Ibu Danti, and also Ibu Detelia, you may go back to the seats at the front as the panel. Pak Madi would like to say something.
No, just one second. We just get a phone call from Dino Jalal from Tokyo. A greeting from him with words of apology because he cannot present himself. Just to let you know that Dino Jalal is a Canadian graduate. He got his bachelor degree from Simon Fraser University. So this is just a greeting from Dino Jalal. Thank you.
Okay, so the discussion will get started, and our moderator, co-director of Research and Analysis of FPCI, who is also the initiator of FPCI Women in Foreign Policy Fellowship, the representative of the youth and in the panel. Please, you may take over.
Thank you, Jenny, and a very warm welcome to everybody here. Good morning. I must say that I feel very empowered to join this panel full of women and also our women ambassadors here in Jakarta. Let me just introduce them really quickly because I want to get immediately to our talk show, then we'll open it up to the audience for questions. From the left to right, we have firstly Ibu Dete Alia. She is the Executive Director of Society Against Radicalism and Violent Extremism in Indonesia. Welcome, Ibu Dete. We also have Ibu Sri Danti Anwar on behalf of the ASEAN Commission on the Promotion and Protection of the Rights of Women and Children in Indonesia. Hello, Ibu. Morning, Ibu. And last but not least, we have Ambassador Jacqueline O'Neill, who is the Canadian Ambassador for Women, Peace and Security. Ambassador O'Neill, just a quick fun fact. Over the past 1 year, we've had Canadian dignitaries visit FPCI, and all of them are women. We have Foreign Minister Melanie Joly and former Prime Minister Kim Campbell, and now we have you. So let me get started first with a question to kick us off. We've been hearing from the previous ambassadors on why women and youth voices need to be integrated to mainstreaming operations and also peacekeeping and also peace dialogues. I want to get started with Ambassador O'Neill first. Please tell us very briefly, why is it so strategic for all nations in the world to put them front and center in peacekeeping?
Will do, thank you. First, good morning. It's still morning. Good bonjour, salam alaikum. It's really wonderful to be here and really want to thank you for hosting us. I will also not go through the long list of thank yous. We talk about sharing best practices, and I once had a colleague who started remarks by saying, all protocols observed. So that one sentence, I think, captures all of our protocols, and we can jump into our topic. Ambassador Syngman laid a really great, she really outlined why Canada is really committed to this topic. Like you, Ambassador, Canada would not be so presumptuous to claim that we are satisfied with our own progress at home. We have so much to learn, we have so much to improve. And that's really the spirit that we're here in Indonesia for, because as each of our speakers have mentioned, and as we'll talk about, there are so many new threats and new challenges and new dimensions to security that we all have to think through, and we're really excited to be able to do that together. So why is it strategic? I'll step back for a second and say, as Ambassador Syngman mentioned, Canada recently launched our Indo-Pacific strategy. It's a 10-year strategy for deepening Canadian partnerships and stability and reliability in this region. It's very well funded. It's a real focus for our country. We know that the future of this region is intimately tied to the future of Canada. And we have 5 areas of focus in that strategy. As you can imagine, it includes trade and economic strengthening. It includes a focus on climate, so biodiversity, our oceans, a green economy. It includes focus on people, investments through our feminist international assistance policies, focus on rights and sharing experiences on that, people-to-people connections, more students, more scholarships, more connections in those ways, and an increased presence. The first pillar listed in this plan and this strategy is peace, resilience, and security. And as Canada, we know that women's full participation and young women's full participation included in that is essential to succeeding in all of those 5 pillars, and most specifically very much in that first pillar. And that's very consistent with the ASEAN Regional Plan of Action that's just emerged, that is not limited to one type of conflict or one definition of peace, but it's very expansive. And so to relate specifically to your question about youth, one of the greatest frustrations I have is when I hear sometimes people say, youth are the future leaders. Youth are leading today. All of us in this room, all of you in this room, I should say, who are youth, all joining us online, all students, you're all leading activism already in really key ways. We wouldn't have, I don't think, the focus on climate and the environment that we have without young people for literally decades now saying this has to be, this is a security concern, it's an economic concern, it's a concern for our future. We have young people around the world who are making the case, as various ambassadors mentioned at the beginning, related to online spaces, to digital security issues, to cybersecurities, and not just about that, but about the ways that young women in particular are targeted with digital harassment and receive different types of threats. Many people are threatened online. Women tend to receive threats that are focused on their family life, personal issues, sexuality. They're attacked for their identities as mothers and of women in communities. There are different gendered dimension to those elements. So we see youth leadership already, and we see it all around the world in very real ways. Look at Sudan. Sudan's revolution was led by women and led by youth. About 75% of the protesters who brought down a dictator who'd been in charge for over 30 years was youth and women. They were in the streets. Look at Iran right now. It's led by youth and women. So in very practical ways, it's not a question of are they potentially powerful or useful. It's happening right now. What we also see, very unfortunately, is what we see time and again after revolutions, after protests, after social movements, is that young women, young men, and women more broadly are really essential in the movement itself. And then when it comes time to create formal structures for government, for transitional bodies, for constitutional committees, they're largely excluded. And that, to me, is the crux of what needs to change. For a long time, a lot of young people have said, young people are often viewed as a potential security threat, right? Especially young men. So unemployed young men has been the focus of a lot of conversation about youth for a long time, and they may become radicalized. They may join violent extremist or terrorist groups. And many young women say, first of all, you're discounting the fact that we are also potentially vulnerable in that way. But also we haven't seen youth as sources of power and sources of really important change to set directions. And I'll end by saying that we recognize this and we're trying to adapt in different ways. We're not there yet by any means. Part of the challenge that we have is that our institutions, and when I say our institutions, I mean Canada, the Canadian government, our foreign ministry, ASEAN Secretariat, all these formal bodies and official bodies, we're not used to dealing with movements. And that's often how youth organize, right? So many of you are connected through social media. You activate yourselves and you come together around specific issues for a protest or a demonstration or joining a cause in different ways. But you don't necessarily create an organization, a civil society organization. And we were joking about this yesterday. Youth don't often organize by creating an organization that has a title and is registered and has a secretariat and a vice chair and takes minutes and has an email account and all these things that are literally spaces in a form that you have to fill out to get funding from Canada even. So we have to think very differently about how our institutions engage with young people. And I think dialogues like this one are a great way to do that, because we have to just have these conversations. We have to have people in our institutions who have responsibilities for engaging with youth. We have to have young people in our institutions who are at policy tables and not viewed as in training all the time as people who will eventually deserve a spot at the table, but who are there now. And we have to make sure that we have all kinds of young people telling us what priorities should be. It's sort of like, Ambassador, your category number 3. We need young people to be saying to us, these are the issues that matter to us. These are the points that we need to be at the table for. And we need to make sure that when we talk about young people generally, we're really paying special attention to young women so that they are not marginalized in decision making as we have seen others be. Thank you.
Thank you, Ambassador O'Neill. That's a very expansive use already, and there are tons of insights that we can dig into later on. But for the meantime, I'd love to bring in Ibu Danti into the conversation to give in the regional perspective. So earlier, Ambassador O'Neill has mentioned that how Canada's Indo-Pacific strategy has this pillar for peace and security and how people is at the center of it. We know that ASEAN also lauds people-centered ASEAN. So Ibu Danti, can you tell us what is ASEAN's commitment to put people front and center, women, especially and youth, in ensuring a peaceful and stable region?
Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for inviting me to this very interesting dialogue. Before I answer your question, I just would like to add a little bit about, the security. When we talk about the security in ASEAN, we don't only look at the traditional security, we can see that now it's more than that. We can see that even in our commitment in ASEAN, we don't only look at the traditional security matters, but we already develop it further. Yeah, so we also address the issue of climate change. That is also a part of security. When people, we can see we already live in climate change situation. You can see there's the weather keep changing, and then it affects everyone in the community, When we look at the people are not a homogeneous group, they are men and women, boys and girls, even a marginalized group, and this climate change also can affect differently to them, and then this can bring, conflict situation as well. So that is one thing about the security, non-traditional security. And then the other issue is global pandemic as well. Yeah. When you can see the COVID-19, it really impacts not only Indonesia, it's a global issue as well. So this pandemic, COVID-19, also bring a lot of impacts to the people, not only in terms of the social affairs, but a lot of sectors as well. And then this can also bring impact to the conflict within the community. And then there is also an issue of trafficking in persons or trafficking, drug trafficking and trafficking in arms. This is also a new security, Not to mention the issue of the violent extremism and radicalization. It's also a new form of security. And then I'd also like to mention there is also a new form of security, or cyber security as well. You can see the cyber, the digital, the technology can bring positive and negative impact as well. On one thing, you can make use of the digital technology to increase knowledge, to communicate, to strengthen collaboration, etc. But on the other hand, this cyber, this digital technology also can bring a very adverse impact, especially to women and girls. In terms of now, you can see that there are a lot of issues on trafficking in person, being conducted in through online. This can also bring insecurity, And then another thing is another issue is the issue of the digital gap as well, between the national and provincial level. There is a gap between the social status, etc. So it can also bring the insecurity. So that's why in ASEAN, ASEAN already committed to the promotion of women in peace and security by in 27 in 2017, they already have this joint statement on women, peace, and security. And then after that, they have a lot of, workshops, etc. But still not very moving very well. But then, starting in 2020 and 2021, ACWC, which stands for Asian Commission on the Protection of the Rights of Women and Children, this is a new sectoral body. Actually, this was just launched back in 2010. But before that, in ASEAN, there is also a sectoral body on women, which is called Asian Committee on Women. So this ACW and ACWC stood together, supported by all the missions and all the donor agencies. We started to have a regional study on women, peace, and security. Before that, only local commitment, like in Indonesia and Philippines, they have their own national plan of action. But in ASEAN, we don't really have anything. That's why we need to start by having a regional study on women, peace, and security. And then based on that, after we have that in 2020, that's during the COVID-19, in 2023, we already launched the regional plan of action on women, peace, and security. So this is really a commitment, to promote and protect the rights of women and children. When you ask, how far is it, the implementation of WP? Well, I'm sorry, we just launched it last year, in 2022, yeah. So we, this year, we really encourage everyone, ASEAN member states, to start translating the regional plan into their local language, and then to disseminate all this plan, and then to start having the national plan of action as well. And I would like to say that not only it is important to have the women, peace, and security, it's not important just to focus on women, because women are in, they have a different role than men in society, but at the same time, women and men have equal rights and opportunities as well. And you say, why is this important? Because they have the same rights and they are a very important asset to the development. Of course, they have to participate in the development, including in the development of peace in their own, from the family until the community. So in ASEAN, in terms of the policy, we also just launched what we call ASEAN Gender Mainstreaming Strategic Framework. So this is also a new framework. So in order to make sure that everyone, men and women, boys and girls, including youth, because we are looking into the age-specific group. So of course, they are also playing a very important role, but not only in participation. I would like to say the women and men, girls and boys should not only participate, but also take active role in the decision making. They have to be integrated there. They have to be included in the planning of the policies and the program. Even now, through the ASEAN Gender Mainstreaming Strategic Framework, we encourage ASEAN member states to integrate the gender perspective in all policies and programs, so that men and women, boys and girls, including in peace and security, be considered and be encouraged to do that. So in ASEAN, we have the commitment, we have a lot of declaration on women and children, we have a lot of statement on, but it's not important just a statement declaration. The most important thing, you have to have the mechanism, you have to have the human resources, the financial resources, and you also have to have the collaboration. So I agree in saying that it's not only the responsibility of the government, to implement the women, peace, and security agenda or gender mainstreaming in that matter, but of course the important role of the community, especially the youth, the academia, the private sectors in Indonesia, the religious group, and then community organizations, they also play a very important role in making sure that all this gender equality and equity, including in peace and security, can be promoted. So that's our stand at the moment. So when you say, oh, already implemented, yeah, so far we just launched it.
Yes,
Yeah.
and that's a good start that we already launched it last December. And while implementation is still underway, I just want to point out that, as Ambassador O'Neill has mentioned earlier, the movements are already there. If you look at the ASEAN region, even the Myanmar political crisis, the activists are mostly young people. They're women. You look at the Milk Tea Alliance across the Southeast Asia region, they're all young people. They care about the climate crisis, they care about the food crisis, the pandemic. So the movements, at least in the informal setting, is already there. But now the question is that how can we create an official mechanism to pipeline all of these aspirations and thoughts into the decision-making process? This is where I'd like to get some insight from Ibu Dete, especially in the Indonesian perspective. I think tons of our youths, right now our demographic population are majority young people. How can they actually voice it out and then have the government officials listen to them and heed to what they are requesting?
Thank you. Before I answer you, I also want to greet you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I'm happy to be here and I'm happy to see young people here, because mostly we meet only like our age, but I consider myself still young though. I am the youngest here maybe. So regarding the the young voices and how the government should hear, I think this is already a good progress now, because in terms of radicalism and terrorism, the BNPT, our National Counterterrorism Agency, already building a kind like joint secretariat between state and non-state, where there are also youth department there. So there is a youth group, and then we also focus on the youth, because the youth also have actually very significant roles, because nowadays those groups also recruiting youth to be their members. So this should be also fight by the youth. So the youth should fight by the youth. I think not fight, but the youth convincing their peers. Because it is, if youth fight, then it is violence. So that's how the youth can convince their peers that peace is important, because those groups actually recruiting the youth, and they also in fact brainwash them that they have to fight against our government, our infidel government. This is another type of war. So we also, if Ibu Danti said there is traditional security, now I'm also talking about traditional war, because the traditional war is war between two countries, but we have also here now developed like a kind like new type of war, that is war against our own governments. So this is now they're investing in the mind of the youth. So they're recruiting youth, and then therefore I think the youths now have to also voice out that peace is important, and through this BNPT opening that space, and then we also included youth. They also have Duta Damai BNPT. BNPT, our National Counterterrorism Agency, they also have Duta Damai, peace ambassador for youth. And there are so many already youth group. For example, like Peace Leader Indonesia, Peace Generations, Girls Ambassador for Peace, and then Koalisi Anak Muda Indonesia Damai untuk Indonesia Damai, dan juga Youth Interfaith Peacemaker. So we already have many youth group, but the problem is sometimes we're talking about youth, but the involvement of the youth is still limited. So we need to open the space for the youth so they can voice. We really have to give a space for them to speak up, because usually, like when we talk about children, the one who discuss is the adult people, but we are talking about children. And when we are talking about youth, and the people who discuss is also like us, the major people. So then this is the opportunity, this is the time, because they are, as the ambassador now said, that they are the leaders, the future leaders of this country. They are the future leaders of this region. They are the future leaders of the world. So they also have to be empowered. They have to be empowered, and there are many ways to empower them, like through this kind of discussions. This is also part of the empowerment. But also to empower them, there are many, because they need to be also, like training is one way, but also there are many ways, including like exchange, like that. There is exchange programs, and then I think I thought there will be a representative Ayu Kartika, because in the flyer there is the representative of the youth, yeah, but unfortunately I didn't see her.
I will represent the youth book.
Okay, so yeah, I think we need to really, how to say, organize event where we also invite the governments, and then the youth can voice out what is actually their opinion and what is actually their want. Yeah.
Wonderful, Bo. And I just have one last general question to the panel before we open it up to the audience. So please prepare your questions if you have any. But I find our comments, yes, if you have any comments, please feel free to speak them out. What I find, a pattern that I found in all of your opening remarks is that there's this new dimension of digitalized era. And we know that most people nowadays spend more time on the internet. In Southeast Asia alone, internet penetration rate is 70%, right? And that means that the security and the threat landscape has changed way more dynamically than since the first resolution 1320 has been adopted before. So I wanted to get your thoughts. How can governments and also women and young people navigate this new era of digitized era, and how can they still be agents of peace instead of succumbing, like you said, Ibu Dete, into radicalism views or extremist views? So anyone who would like to comment first?
Yeah, I think the most important is education. Yeah, I think before you have to know what is the purpose of the social media. So the government, I think, Kominfo, yeah, has a lot of programs in digital literacy. You call it digital literacy. What is the purpose of social media? What kind of social media? And what is the negative, positive social media? Because without knowing that, and then you just surf into the social media without knowing the effect, positive, negative, and you can become, you can be influenced by these new norms that you are not aware of, and then suddenly you become radicalized because you learn something by yourself, and no one is really coaching you. So that is important. Yeah? You yourself have to increase the knowledge, in this new era. And then the second thing, of course, the government has the role to really control, really control which one is the radical group, and then I think the government of Indonesia has done that to try to scan, to list down, to take down all these, not very supportive social media. I think they have the regulation. Regulation is also very important. And then the other issue is, of course, you yourself have to be aware of this situation. For instance, why there are so many cases of trafficking online? Because you don't know. Because especially the young people, yeah. In the past, the target of the trafficking in persons mostly the women or the young girls from the village. But now it's already changed to more educated one. So it means you really have to check and recheck again, because there'll be a lot of misinformation, hoax, through this media, and we ourselves, I think we need to increase our knowledge and information about that. So those are some of the things from you internally and from the outside, from your family as well, the government as well. So it has to be collaborated together.
Ibu Dete or Ambassador O'Neill?
Oh, okay. So regarding the social media, I agree with Ibu Danti that the education is important, digital literacy is important. But I think we also, as the young people, we also have to be critical. We have to have a critical thinking, meaning that we have to have a critical thinking whether this issue is really based on truth or not. The posting, the news that they spread in social media, you have to check and recheck before you sharing. Yeah, because sometimes we just read it and then we share it. We didn't really, filter it first, yeah? So we just believe in that, and then there is no critical thinking anymore. So we have to be critical, whether this is really rely on the reliable source or not, then we have to be, as a young people, as a, educated people, we have to be really careful on that. And I think the most important is that The government already collaborations with private sector, especially with like Facebook, Google's. Yeah, I saw already that the Facebook already have a kind of like how to say award. They already make a kind of like sharing if there is content, as there is keyword which they consider radical, then they immediately ban it. Yeah, so they already have that. But with others, we have to also expand our collaborations with others, private sector. I mean that providers, yeah. But in the past, our government already take down so many, about 1,600 radical sites. But at the time, yeah, in 2016 somethings, because when I searching those website that's a link, I couldn't find it anymore. But actually, we still can find it. So that's information. If we using the other systems, for example, like use VPN, we can still actually open that site, even though government already banned it. So that's why the government has to really not only rely on the, how to say, the popular searching engine, yeah, search engine, but they also try to check it from the other search engines, because I can still get access to those radical sites using different search engine which is not based in Indonesia. And also, I think this kind of, it's quite surprising during the Taliban, when the Taliban wants won the fight in Afghanistan. I checked in the social media, there are many radicals group using this opportunity to actually recruiting young people. So they're recruiting young people, they're using the words Taliban, because Taliban means talib, come from the word talibs, and talib means youth, student. So they try to recruiting the students using the victory of Taliban. Yeah. The propaganda is very massive in the social media. And I checked, I said, why the government didn't do anything towards this Facebook, towards this, how to say, the campaign in social media. But maybe there is another, how to say, strategy from the government. They let it open so that they can observe actually who are actually in that discussion. Yeah. So they know, they can identify people. So this is also another way of the government in monitoring those.
Yeah, thanks, Ibu. Ambassador?
So really quickly on the tech thing, I think so many of us, who were alive and active when the internet became very pervasive, and when more and more people started organizing through social media, we saw a lot of promise, right? We thought this is a great thing for democracy because it lets people connect more directly to each other. It lets them organize in different ways. It means that there are fewer gatekeepers of information. And we've seen that in many ways. We talked about the way many youth are organizing. Thank you for bringing in those regional examples. But we've also seen that it can really harm democracy and harm civil society and activism, because we see a lot more government surveillance now of activists, right? We see a rise of authoritarianism around the world, governments sliding away from democracy and increasing their surveillance. And the pandemic was really a big step in that, when a number of governments sort of took advantage of it and saying we have to have more surveillance of people. And that led to shrinking of space for civil society. So we need young people to make sure that they're kind of digitally safe. We have to care a lot about digital divides and who is not being included in that space. And we have to put it in our policies. And the regional action plan from ASEAN addresses this issue very specifically. In Canada, our national strategy does not name it. We're about to create a new one. And we're going to do the same as what's in the ASEAN plan and address misinformation and disinformation really specifically. These are things that we didn't think about as security threats in the same way several years ago. And the last thing I'd say on that, we talked about critical thinking that's essential. And we also need young people to make sure that we're putting forward positive alternatives, right? People don't respond to being told just what not to do and what not to think. And, you know, you can grow up and not be a violent extremist. This is your future. We want people to paint a picture, a positive picture that people are actually drawn towards, including online. Thank you.
That's really great. I think we got a lot of insights already from first the digital landscape, how this is a new battleground, and then what governments can do, what governments should not do, and basically we need to keep an open space for civil societies. I'd love to bring in the audience at this point in time. So if you have any questions, please raise your hand. We'll take 3 at once in the interest of time. There's a hand over there, so please give the mic. And then the other 2, one gentleman over here, and then the one in the middle row. Please state your name, your institutional affiliation, and just one question very briefly.
Okay, thank you for the time. I try to be brief, but my name is Yesi Diana from Universitas Kristen Indonesia. So, Ambassador, you mentioned about youth at the table, and also Ibu Dete mentioned about how youth should be empowered. But oftentimes we see this prominent youth institution or organization that stated that it's for youth, but then people who got selected are people who, I don't know, graduated from abroad and so on and so forth. So I think it's not a question, rather a criticism. So I hope that in the future, we also put inclusivity within the youth organization so that we also heard from people who are not born in a silver spoon or come from a posh institution, but people who, in the case of Indonesia, I think people who not born in Jakarta, live outside Jakarta or Java in general, because I think that's Professor Mogadam said people who are radicalized are people who are at the bottom level of the society and are unable to change their situation. So I think we also put inclusivity to counter CVE. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that comment. I hope you're part of FPCI chapter because we don't see any educational background. We accept everybody. And then next.
Good morning, Ambassador. Ibu, good morning. My name is Tengku Muhammad Farhan, and I'm from Pancasila University, and now currently I'm also serving in the Ministry of Defense. My question is about the de-radicalization program. Not every youth have a capability to make a filter in the internet or when they search something on internet. How long it will take, from your perspective, for the youth to be able, all the youth to be able to do so? Thank you very much.
Thank you. And then the last question for this round. Yes, the lady in blue.
Hi, hopefully this question isn't too general. My name is Renina. I'm a student currently studying at NYU, and I was kind of wondering how the situation in regards to peace intervention and security differed between like the countries that are featured in this program or just in the region in general. Like, for instance, are there specific issues that are focused on or addressed in Canada versus Malaysia versus Indonesia? Just whether they're specifically addressed in that or whether it's more of a overall like cohesive thing where issues such as environmental or like social topics are addressed as a whole.
Thank you. Who wants to go first to respond to the comments and questions? Ambassador.
Thank you. So on the inclusive aspect, I couldn't agree with you more. And we use sometimes these terms like women must be included. And we have to remember that, for example, women are half the population. They don't have just one opinion. They don't have one set of experiences. One woman doesn't represent all women. And I don't know if any of you experience this, but I sometimes hear from people we work with or sometimes our own colleagues, they'll say, well, you know, the women's movement isn't united or the women are fighting amongst themselves. And I say, of course we are. Of course we have different opinions. But, you know, men fight amongst themselves too. That's why we have governments. And in the worst case, it's why we have wars. Like, we all disagree. We have different experiences, and we have to advocate for groups like women, but we have to, I think, be more specific sometimes in saying we mean women with diverse backgrounds. That includes economically, racially, ethnicity, language, all kinds of things. We have to really make space for that diversity. And in Canada, one of the things we struggle with is how do we measure that in our programs? Like, we say that's a priority, but how do we track that while respecting people's privacy? So I don't know if that's something that that ASEAN is engaged in or something, but we really struggle. We want to keep that information, but we don't want to surveil people or track so much data that it's problematic. But we want to hold ourselves accountable to doing exactly what our first questioner asked. And then I'll speak on the last point about how similar or different the issues are. They're remarkably similar. We have different contexts, but one of the things that I've learned from doing this type of work for over 20 years is that we have far, far more in common than we have that's different. And cultural contexts differ very much. Some of the specific issues differ, but we have a lot in common. So, to your very specific questions, a lot of the things that we deal with in Canada are very similar to what is going on in the region. One of the biggest ones being responses to climate disasters and emergencies. And that's something due to the climate crisis that all of us are facing much more of. It's something that there's a lot of expertise on within this region that we want to learn from. There's also an issue of bringing this to much more local levels. And that's something that Canada's looking to both Indonesia, Malaysia, and other countries on as an issue that is done much more thoroughly and deliberately here than it is in Canada. Of course, we have some issues that that may be less relevant to you, but I'd say the vast majority of these national strategies, regional action plans, I think there are about 107 countries now in the world that have them. The issues don't vary that much. Some of the approaches to dealing with them do, but the fundamental issues are quite similar.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, the issue of inclusivity in ASEAN, we try to address that issue through the adoption of ASEAN strategic framework on gender mainstreaming strategy. That is one strategy to really identify the different needs of men and women, boys and girls, and disability and elderly, including youth. So in the past, we don't have that strategy. We just have, all these gender blind policies and programs. You don't really identify the different needs of the community. What I mean by community, men, women, boys and girls, youth, and then the disability and elderly from different kind of levels, But in ASEAN, last year, we already launched this gender mainstreaming strategy. Of course, if I want to cite one example from Indonesia, actually, we already started this gender mainstreaming strategy way in 2000. So Indonesia is quite advanced in gender mainstreaming strategy implementation, but in ASEAN, we just started. So we just started in the framework, and now we are in the process of developing the mechanism, structural mechanism, and we are in the process of developing the what we call gender mainstreaming, gender focal point, and then all this working group, and the gender working group, and then we are in the process of how to integrate all this mechanism in the 3 pillars. So this is one way of integrating, inclusivity. So we are really aware of the different needs, different perspectives, and different constraints faced by the community. And then on the issue of women, peace, and security, I think globally we face the same. So I would like to echo what Ambassador mentioned. Now we are in the face of the issue of climate change, and then cybersecurity. Trafficking now is also one of the biggest issues because it's not only locally but also internationally. And then the issue of economy as well. Economic crisis become one of the biggest issue as well that can create conflict. So I think most in ASEAN, I think we also face the same issue. Yeah. Except in the developing of the policies and programs at the national level, of course we prioritize because it depends on the human resources, it also depends on the budgets available. But the priority issue is almost the same.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing that, Ibu. And I think here at FPCI, we always want to try to understand how civil societies can actually be part of the ASEAN decision-making process. ASEAN always lost that it's a people-centered ASEAN, but we don't see any official mechanism to actually, channel our aspirations and thoughts to the ASEAN Secretariat.
Yeah, I'd like to add that in ASEAN, I think there's also a youth forum, so they also have their own, agenda for that. And then in our work in ACWC, we also have an open session with civil society organization. So whenever we want to, address specific issues, women or children, we during our annual meeting, we also have this what we call the open forum, open session. So we invited some of the CSOs, but of course the CSOs should be what we call it should be recognized by ASEAN entirety. Yeah. Because for instance, in Indonesia, there are so many CSOs. So which CSOs is it? So in ASEAN, they have this accreditation, which community that can be invited to this kind of forum. So, but there is a space for that.
Thank you, Ibu. And then Ibu Dete?
I think I will answer the inclusivity. Yeah, that's true that we are not really yet covering the province. This is our lacking, yeah, because we mostly when we give training we focus in the how to say in the center national, but in the provincial level we didn't really have much program for the youths. And not only the how to say the imbalance is not only between central and the province, but also between Java and non-Java. So we are mostly focused on Java training. There are many programs in Java, but how about Sumatra, Kalimantan, and other province? And this is not yet been focused a lot. So I think that's true that this is our challenge, yeah, in the future, that we also have to look at that areas. And in terms of the questions of Mas, you asked deradicalizations or radicalizations? Deradicalizations programs in using the internet. Using internet, yeah. So the radicalizations program using the internet, actually there are many already organizations doing a kind of like counter narrative. Yeah, they're using a peaceful narrative or alternative narrative. But how effective it is, we need to evaluate. Yeah, because how to say, they're already trying to spread the messages, yeah, the peaceful messages and alternative messages through internet, and then. The problem is how intensive we are in doing that, because the other group, they are very well managed, very well designed, and very fast. They are very fast compared to us. So sometimes we are lag behind. Most of the time we are lag behind. So this is also our challenge, and we need also to to speed our pace also so that we can balance them. Yeah. So, but there are already many. But how they are radicalized through this? I think we need to evaluate and measure that. Yeah, this is what can I answer you.
Wonderful. Thanks so much, Ibu Dete. And I think I just want to make sure that everybody here that has one last burning question, please raise your hand. Oh, okay. Someone at the very back on the left side.
Good morning. My name is Intan Khairani. I'm from Binus. FPCI Binus University. I would like to really thank you for the insights. I really enjoyed the topic. So my question is, how do we advocate the empowerment of both women and youth in some regions, areas where the people are not open to the new ideas of letting women and youth taking the steering wheel in making changes, and reluctant to participate in programs which are intended for peace and security, as this can still be found even here in Indonesia. So how do we coax them into taking participation? So that is my question.
Brilliant question. So on cultural challenges and structural obstacles to participation, I just want to let everybody know that we have the Friday prayer. So if you can give your comments each 1 minute. Do you want to start first, Ambassador? Or okay.
Really quickly, you mentioned that resistance to new ideas. What I'd say is often these are not new ideas. Women's leadership and young people's leadership has existed in different forms in communities around the world. They may not be in the types of structures that we're used to. There may not be an official government council, etc. But we always say this is an issue and a theme that emerged from women around the world. It didn't come from the West, the global North, whatever it is. So I would say, instead of thinking it is something that is brought as new, go deep in the community first and talk about historically, how did women have influence? How were decisions made? What did authority look like? And go from within, as opposed to thinking of it as something or new from the outside, because it usually almost always is.
Yeah, our experiences is we try to approach the local leaders, like the local women leaders, because usually at the grassroots level, there are a lot of women organization, already exist. That's as our entrance point, and then we also have to coordinate to collaborate with the local religious leaders, because usually sometimes it's not easy to break through this perspective. So that's why in some part of area, for instance, in Indonesia, we have to really identify which religious leaders that really support, like talking about women empowerment, gender equality, changing the mindset. We really have to identify that, as well as we also have to collaborate very closely with the local communities as well. So you not just go down there and then try to change their mindset, no, but we have to do some, preliminary, survey first, and then try to get the ideas, how is this community, That's why you have to collect the data and etc. before you really jump into changing their mindset. So most of the time we also have to look at which youth organization already available. So they also have to be part of our team as well. So this is one way. And of course, it takes time, to change the mindset. But we really have to show why they have to do that. What is the impact, or what life it is that they will get, if you do that, For instance, it is important to do, to have equal rights. Why do we have to have? So things like that, where we have to advocate them, Not just bringing your agenda and bring all that and then leave, no. But you have to take time to do that.
Thanks, Ibu Danti. Ibu Dete?
Yeah, only short. But I think culture and structure is still a challenge for us because to some country maybe different culture. So it is interesting because, for example, like in terms of PCV issue, Indonesia is quite advanced, I think, compared to the other country in the regions. Because in terms of collaborations between state and non-state actors, Indonesia is already advanced, meaning that we already giving a space for civil society, including the youth, because there is youth groups in that forum. But to other Asian countries, this is a challenge because, like Malaysians, for example, there is still gap between the civil society and the governments. Yeah, they cannot. If I can sense that they are not yet really open the space for the civil society to contribute, including the youth to contribute. And the Philippines already a bit advanced because they already also, like Indonesia, they already have allowings also. There are already many programs they conduct with the young people in the grassroots levels. So this is already, a good progress. But to the other Asian country, it is still challenge. So this is, I think we need to open the channel, like you said before, open the channel in Asians, how we encourage the Asians to also kind of like providing space for the youth to also participate in the decision making, especially. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. This has been such a brilliant panel. Please give a round of applause for everybody. I think some takeaways that we can get from our conversation today is that most often than not, we say that women and young people needs to be agents of change, agents of peace. But the truth of the matter is they already are. On the ground, they're already moving and they're already becoming agents of peace. Now it's just a task on the government on how to proactively create space for them and actually provide a platform for them to channel in all of their aspirations and thoughts and be part of the decision-making process. Something that's written on the paper should actually be implemented in the reality. And I will quote our foreign minister. This is such a brilliant quote. She said, women should not just be object of peace. Young people should not be object of peace too, but we should view them as well as subjects of contributor of change and peace. So with that, let me end this panel. I'll give it back to Jenny as the MC to carry on the rest of the show.
Thank you, Esther.
Thank you, Esther, the representative of the youth in the panel. All right, once again, thank you, Ambassador O'Neill, Ibu Sri Danti Anwar, and also Ibu Dete Alia for coming and for contributing to our discussion. I see a lot of questions coming and comments. We could not accommodate as we will have a Friday prayers. And for your information, we have the mosque right beside our building if you want to go to the mosque. And we also provide food, lunchbox for everybody to bring home after this. So once again, thank you very much for coming. This forum is available for rewatch in our YouTube channel, Secretariat FVCI. Thank you.